Larry tried to kill me.
Yeah. I was so thoroughly disgusted.
I mean, think about it. Why does it make you special to do what you do?
Packers jumping around. They rush four. Plenty of time for John. Now squeezes, steps up in the pocket. Elliott can run inside the 10. Head first. He dives off the 5-yard line. My goodness.
Rushing four, ball comes out of the hands of Newton. It's on the ground, and it's still on the ground. Picked up by T.J. Ward at the 4-yard line.
There's also Brian Clady and Bob Miller. Third and long 3. Going deep. Oh, and he's got Thomas. Goodbye. Touchdown. Here we go. First snap of the overtime. The Broncos have been in 3 overtime games this year. They won them all. Got him at the 40. It's Thomas at the 50. Stiff arm got him 3 to the 30. To the 20. Thomas to the 10. Denver's going on to New England. They win it on the first play of overtime.
Hello, Bronco fans and football fans everywhere. Welcome to Broncos Breakdown on the MHRT Network. This is a show that is everything Broncos and sports topics related. I'm your host, Bronco Bill. All right, guys, before I get into the topics, just want to remind anybody that if you want to watch this live and you want to be part of the show, jump into the chat after every segment. I will be looking at the chat and going along with your topics or your questions or whatever takes you may have, as long as they pertain to the topic that I just done or even a previous one. I will engage you guys into the show. That's how I want this to be. So let's get started. First off, I want to welcome Avatar, like always. Avatar. You're a great ambassador to the MHRT Network and to the show. Just want to say thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot for always being here. All right, let's get right into the first topic. And the first topic is obviously last week's game. Again, 9 points. 9 points. So it doesn't matter if it's Russell Wilson, and it doesn't matter if it's Brett Rippon, because the result is the same. It's 9 points. And that's not good. That's not good at all, especially when the other teams are scoring more. And I realize that the Broncos have been in most of their game except for the Raiders game. It was a one-possession game. So Denver could be 6-1. I know that's stretching. I know it's stretching. But realistically, we could be 6-1. On the flip side, we could be 0-7. So, 2-5. It's not good, obviously. That is for sure. I really don't know what to say about this team, but people have, and I'm not talking about people that I talk to in my circles and that kind of thing. I'm talking about people in the know, people in Broncos country, people behind the scenes. Yeah, we'll get into all of that in this show for sure. Because there is some interesting comments and interesting takes by people high up in a Broncos organization. So we'll get to that in just a bit. All right. Now, because I want to get this out of the way, because I want to just deal with Broncos news. Sorry, guys, if I accidentally hit the mic. I want to get this out of the way, and then we'll jump into Broncos news. And here it is, the Jackass of the week. All right. Antonio Brown. Will this guy ever learn? Will he seriously ever learn? I mean, this guy's a mess. And a lot of people say it could be possible CTE. We'll never know. As long as he's alive, we'll never know. But some of his actions, they're out there. Like when he took his shirt off on the field and then, paraded around in the end zone and then went off the field. I mean, stuff like that just isn't normal. Well, here's Antonio Brown as a Jackass of the Week. AB has been ordered to pay more than $1 million to a moving truck driver in Florida after allegedly fighting the man in 2020. Brown was supposed to appear in court, but did not respond or attend hearings in the case. Tumanow, the driver for a moving company, claimed he was hired to deliver Brown's belongings from California. So remember, he came from California and went to Tampa Bay. And so this guy was moving Antonio Brown's belongings, and he gets to Florida, and he says, when I got to Florida, I asked for a payment. Brown refused. Who does that? I know, it's Antonio Brown, so he gets away with a whole lot of stuff. Well, apparently the chickens are going to come home to roost in this instance because now he's ordered to pay more than $1 million in damages. I continue. The driver then tried to leave with Brown's goods still in the truck, but Brown threw a rock at the vehicle. The man also claims Brown forced his way into the truck and assaulted him. Really? Antonio, you make millions of dollars to play football. Why do you feel like you have to just be, above the law? I'm getting sick and tired of these athletes anywhere that just feel like they're invincible. Feel like, well, I'm an NFL player. I can do what I want. No, you can't. There are laws. There are things you can't do. There are things you can't do in an organization or on the football field or anywhere. You are a representative of your team. Well, you're supposed to be. Supposed to be a representative of your team. And if that's the kind of person that you are off the field, I can only imagine what you were when you're on the field. And that's not saying much. So, Antonio, why don't you just grow up, do the right thing, and, things like this that won't happen to you. I know $1 million to Antonio Brown's probably a drop in the bucket, but still, it's the fact and the matter that all this guy was trying to do was get paid for doing a service. And what happens? He gets assaulted. Why? Because Antonio Brown says, I ain't paying you. You know who I am? I'm Antonio Brown. I get all my stuff for free. Nah. No, you don't. Absolutely not. You don't get anything for free. It doesn't work that way. It absolutely does not work that way. So hopefully Antonio Brown will learn his lesson. Not sure. All right. We move on to possible Broncos sale. Now, I'm not talking about ownership. No, that's solid. That's not going anywhere. I'm talking about a fire sale. There's rumors out there. Well, they're actually not rumors. They're actually facts that the Broncos have been targeted by many teams for the likes of Bradley Chubb, Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, and the latest one is Dalton Risner. That's right. Dalton Risner, KJ Hamler, Jerry Jeudy, and Bradley Chubb. What's it based on? Well, with Bradley Chubb, his contract is up at the end of the season. So they may want to try and get what they can for him now, as opposed to letting him walk and getting nothing. That's a smart move. But Bradley Chubb has been really good this year so far. And I understand that, Gregory is out, so Bradley Chubb looks a lot better. But when Gregory's in there, it's usually Randy Gregory. So maybe that's not a bad idea. What I don't like is the KJ Hamler situation. I don't want him going anywhere. I want KJ. If we get rid of KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy, who's Russell Wilson going to throw it to? Himself? I mean, I know there's other receivers and whatnot, but you can't just start throwing in the towel. You can't. Or can you? And the reason why I say or can you is because those are in later segments regarding how the ownership feels, how Hackett feels. I mean, sorry. Yeah, well, how Hackett feels and how George Paton feels. Interesting. And I'll get into that, obviously, in just a little bit. But I don't want these guys gone. I don't want a fire sale. When there's a fire sale, what usually happens is, obviously, you throw in the towel, you stock up for draft choices, and you start all over. So we're going to waste, and I know, guys, I know. Russell Wilson's been hurt. But are we still going to waste the fact that he is here in Denver and we're going to try and get rid of players? That doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make sense. Now, I understand we have to get draft choices or draft picks because we don't have any because of the Russell Wilson trade. So I understand why George Paton is thinking that way. I just don't want to get rid of a KJ Hamler. Jerry Jeudy, he's had some issues. And I don't want to get rid of Dalton Reisner. Absolutely not. I hope it doesn't go down that road. But people are talking, saying that the Broncos lose on Sunday. There could be a fire sale come Monday because that's the trade deadline at the witching hour of Monday, the 31st. So we'll find out and see what happens after Sunday's game. All right. Let's go to injuries. Injuries keep happening for the Denver Broncos. Constantly happen. It's almost like every game somebody is leaving due to an injury of keeps them out for 4 weeks. There's also, injuries that are torn hamstring. They're gone for the season. This is unbelievable, guys. Totally unbelievable that these things are happening. And it's mind-boggling. I have no idea where this is coming from. I don't know if it's coming from the way they practice. I don't know if it's a result from the way they were doing OTAs. I don't know. I have no idea. But 2 more went down last week against the Jets. Mike Boone and Baron Browning both were injured in the New York Jets game. Boone is expected to miss about 4 weeks due to a high ankle sprain, and Browning is expected to miss several weeks due to a hip injury. Well, people could say, well, Russell Wilson hasn't done this and he hasn't done that, and Rippon came in and he couldn't do anything either. Well, when you've got like 1/3 of your entire team down due to injury, and you got to bring in these guys that are backups, what do you expect? Am I trying to cover for the Broncos 2-5 record? Absolutely not. The offense is horrendous, pathetic, absolutely pathetic. But is it all on Russell Wilson? All on Brett Rippon? Is it all on Hackett? We'll get into that. The defense is holding their own. And you have to understand and know that the defense is frustrated. They're doing their part. They're keeping the Broncos in every single game except the Raiders. Well, they were even in the Raider game until the fumble by Gordon. So the defense is doing their job. Offense, not so much. And that takes me back to the KJ Hamler and Jerry Jeudy. And why get rid of weapons? Why get rid of weapons when our guys are injured? Not them, but some other guys are injured. Obviously, Tim Patrick, to name one. You can't expect Russell Wilson to be able to throw these backup guys when he hasn't really worked with them. But, the saying goes, it's next man up. I understand that. But holy cow, these injuries have to stop. Who's going to be left on the field to play? Practice squad? Calling people up on the street, hey, you want to come play for the Denver Broncos? Seriously, I know I'm being facetious, but wow. Those injuries have to stop. That is for sure. All right. Speaking of let me go this one instead. Speaking of the defense and the offense, Denver is first and last in the same season on the same team. They're first in one category and dead last in the other. Here it is. Denver has the best defense against points allowed and the worst offense with points scored. The defense has allowed 16.4 points per game on average. The offense have scored 14.2 points per game on average. If Denver could have scored, and I know this is just hypothetical, but if Denver could have scored 18 points, if they could have scored 18 points, that's only 3.8 points more. So basically a field goal, an extra point, okay? If Denver could have scored 18 points in every game, they would have a record of 6-1 instead of 2-5. That's what I mentioned. They could easily be 6-1. But let's also not forget they could easily be 1-6 or 0-7. So it's there's a lot to be said for the offense and the defense. They're polar opposites, absolutely polar opposites, and it's got to get better. It's got to get better, and it starts this Sunday. And it starts early, guys. 6:30 Pacific time, 9:30 East Coast time. All right. Hey, just want to say a shout out, McDungus. Thanks for being in. Didn't know it weighed 2 pounds because you got a burrito. Well, enjoy it, my friend. Enjoy it. Sounds like you're going to. All right, let's move on. Russell Wilson. Now, this is interesting. This is really interesting, and I'm not quite sure if it ruffled the feathers of the teammates, but here it is. On the flight from Denver to London, most players were sleeping or trying to sleep except Russell Wilson. Wilson was doing leg stretches and other exercises in the aisle of the plane. Now, I haven't been on an airline in quite some time, but I doubt seriously they've given a lot more aisle space. I doubt it. And you've got these big guys sitting on the aisle seat, you know, and they're stretched out and they're trying to sleep, but maybe they got their arms out or something. And here comes Russell Wilson coming down there doing leg stretches, like high knee kicks or high knee exercises. He's trying to loosen up that hamstring. I totally understand that. But did it ruffle the feathers of the players? Well, some of the players said that they were trying to sleep and they couldn't. So, I mean, I don't know. Was the plane full? I mean, obviously you've got all these guys. I don't know what size plane they went over in. I don't know if it was a big, luxury liner where they got a lot more room. I don't know. But maybe on a situation like that, they should have gotten a 747 so Russell Wilson could go up in the top part where everybody else down below is sleeping. And he can go up on the top and then do some exercises. I don't know. I'm just saying. But to the defense of Russell Wilson, that's a good idea. It's a good idea to try and do what you can to get back on the field. I know he wants to be on the field. I know he wants to make amends for the way this season has gone. I understand that. I just hope he's 100% healthy and not pulling the wool over the eyes of the trainers and say, yeah, I'm fine, man. I'm fine. No big deal. Just give me a shot of something. I'll be okay. I don't know. I'm just speculating like I always do and give my own comments. Thing is, and he said he did that for like several hours and then he was watching film. Well, hopefully he had earbuds in or something to not disrupt the other players. And he said that, after a while, he got about an hour's sleep. Okay. Well, he said he's ready to go on Sunday. So he's been cleared to play on Sunday. So it'll be interesting to see how he plays. And it'll also be interesting to see if that leg holds up. Because Jacksonville is going to be coming after him. They are. And the Broncos offensive line has been suspect at times. So let's hope that Wilson stays upright, doesn't hurt that hamstring or his shoulder in Sunday's game. Let's hope not. He also said he wanted to get the hamstring loose so he could play on Sunday. That's what I mentioned. So Russell Wilson is playing Sunday, and we will see how that all shapes out. Hopefully things go well and Denver gets a win. I'll get to that a little bit later. Now, speaking of Russell Wilson, speaking of the offense and all of that, and their dismay or dismise, and their just pathetic play, Nathaniel Hackett says everything is fine. What? Everything's fine. What the heck has he been doing? He's definitely not. He must be having rose-colored glasses or orange-colored glasses or something on. Everything is fine? What the heck is everything, Hackett? The play calling? Nope. The play on the field? Nope. Russell Wilson being, on the field, ripping, stepping in and getting 9 points. Everything's fine? Wow. Hackett said, and I quote, "I feel like our operation has been going well." Really? So the way the team is playing and the way the offense is going, is operation has been going well? Okay, I continue, and I'm still quoting him. "We held the ball for a long time and we moved the ball." Of course you did. You went from the 20 to the 20. Or sometimes inside the 5. Sometimes, obviously in the red zone. Everything's fine? Wow. And you get field goals. Okay, the Broncos did get a touchdown against the Jets, but they missed the extra point. They also missed a field goal, and they made a field goal. That's where you get the 9. Again, 9 points. Everything's fine? Okay. All right, I continue. "We just didn't convert on some third downs? How about a lot of third downs? How about the majority of third downs? I mean, when you're punting that many times in a game, well, if you're not converting on third down and you go for it on fourth and do something stupid like throw a bomb instead of picking up the yardage you need, yeah, you're right. Did convert on third downs, obviously. But like he said, everything's fine. Okay, I continue. I'd like you guys to comment and let me know if you think everything's fine. I'll continue. That kind of stalled us, but we're going to keep going here, we're going to keep going how we are, and we'll evaluate everything like we always do. We're going to keep going how we are? So that means you're going to keep getting 9 points. You're going to keep going from the 20 to the 20 and then kick field goals. Is that what you're saying? That we're going to keep going how we are? Hackett, that doesn't make sense. That you expect Broncos country to believe that? Are you serious? All right. Okay, I continue. "We always want to get better, and whatever we can do to help this team get better as coaches, everyone needs to look from within because we put ourselves in this position." No, not we. Hackett. Hackett put the Broncos in the situation by his play calling or lack thereof. Sure, there's been some miscues on the field. I understand that. But it starts with Hackett with the play call and the right personnel in the game. So he says, "We put ourselves in this position and we have to get ourselves out of this position. It's that simple," end quote. It's that simple? Well, if it's that simple, why aren't you doing it? I mean, you can't have it both ways, Hackett. You can't. You can't say everything's fine and then we got ourselves in this mess, because then everything's not fine. And if you keep doing the same thing and keep going how you're going, it's not going to change. So something has to change. And it could come from a higher source within the organization. Now, I'll get to that in just a bit. But with Hackett saying this to the press, in his presser, you know the ownership is listening. You know George Paton is listening. Well, you can't have it both ways, Hackett. You can't. So be forthright and say, hey, this situation stinks, and I'm going to make changes. Then I'm going to delegate this person or that person, or we're going to dummy down the offense. We're going to make it easier. We're going to do whatever. But don't come out and say, don't come out and tell me that everything is fine and that you're going to keep doing the same things and that we put ourselves in this mess. No, you can't. I'm not buying a bit of that. I am not buying one single bit of that. What do you guys think? All right. Let's see. Avatar, my attention divided between your stream and I was going to say it's totally fine. Totally fine, Avatar. In fact, if you want to keep me posted, because obviously I can't watch it while I'm doing this show, you want to keep me posted on the score, I love it. I absolutely appreciate it. So thank you very much, Avatar. And thanks again for your loyalty. To be able to watch the show and the Avalanche takes talent, man. I appreciate it. Okay, go to Glenn. I'm picturing Bill's sheet with a ton of highlighting. Yeah, you're talking about my notes right here. These notes, yeah, there's plenty of them, and they're not highlighted, but probably wouldn't be a bad idea if I started doing that. Welcome in, Glenn. Glad to have you in. All right, let's move on. Speaking of George Paton, let's move on. George Paton has given a George Paton has given a 100% ring of endorsement to Nathaniel Hackett as well as Russell Wilson. What? Now, I understand he's not going to come out there and say, Nathaniel Hackett stinking up the joint, and it was a bad move that I made. I shouldn't have hired him. I should have taken, somebody else, and that was on me, and that was a bad move or whatever. No, and he's not going to say that, nor would I expect him to say that. But I honestly didn't expect him to give 100% endorsement to Hackett and Wilson, except the fact that it's only been 7 games, a first-time head coach, a new offensive coordinator, a new quarterback, a new system for Russell Wilson. I understand all that. I totally get it. Like I mentioned earlier, the Broncos were only 1 possession away from every game except the Raiders towards the end. So they absolutely had chances. It just wasn't materializing. It absolutely wasn't. So maybe that's why George Paton is given the leash to Nathaniel Hackett, possibly, and to Russell Wilson, because obviously Russell Wilson is learning the new system, new teammates, new organization, new everything. Heck, it's even a new locker room from what I understand. Obviously for him, but I'm talking about redecorated, redesigned, new. So everything in Broncos country surrounding the Broncos is new. I continue. Paton said, and I quote, "I believe in Nathaniel Hackett. I support Nathaniel Hackett 100%. He's been in this for 7 games as a head coach." End quote. He also went on to say about Russell Wilson, and I quote, "I'm not concerned. We're in it for the long haul with Russ, not just the first 7 games. We believe in Russ. I believe in Russell. We really don't have an identity on offense, and I think that comes with time. Hopefully it comes soon." What does that mean? Does that mean that Paton is thinking about shortening that leash, shortening that rope, or is he going to let Nathaniel Hackett hang himself? And I'm not trying to be negative. I'm not trying to be a downtrodden person. I'm not trying to be that. But facts don't lie, guys. Facts are facts. The truth doesn't lie. It can't. It's the truth. And the truth is in the pudding, like they say, so to speak. The cream rises to the top. All these sayings. Nathaniel Hackett, if this continues and they go 2-10, 2-8, 2-9, is he going to stick around? Well, I will definitely give you something to think about. And this is quite interesting, because this is an eye-opener. And this comes on the heels of what what George Paton just said about Nathaniel Hackett and Russell Wilson. Interesting? Absolutely. Eye-opening? Oh, for sure. And it speaks volumes. And here it is. Greg Penner, GM, general manager. I'm sorry, not general manager. Excuse me. Yeah, no. George Penner, ownership group. I'm sorry. George Penner. Now, Penner, speaking to Mike Kliss of 9 News in Denver, in London, expressed disappointment with the team's slow start, acknowledging and understanding of fan anger, and said that while he supports Hackett, he is always evaluating. What does that mean? What does that mean? Huh? That means a lot. It means he's evaluating who is on the team in a position to lead this team. Hackett? Could it be George Paton? Absolutely, it could. You got to remember, guys, the ownership group did not hire Hackett, and they did not hire George Paton. And for the most part, or actually not for the most part, for a true fact, is they didn't even trade for Russell Wilson. But you're not going to get rid of Russell Wilson in that salary. That would be stupid. So what is Greg Penner actually saying? He's saying he's evaluating after every game. But it gets better. It gets better. Penner was firm, honest about disappointment in the current state of the team. Penner on if this means Hackett, the head coach, Penner was asked if Nathaniel Hackett will remain as the head coach for the rest of the 2022 season. His response, and I quote, "We're never going to go into those kinds of things." In other words, he's not going to tell him yay or nay. He's not going to tell Mike Kliss, yeah, we're going to give him until, he loses 8 games or whatever. They're not going to say that. It says, "We're never going to go into these kinds of things. I'm supportive of Hackett. As you know, this is a week-to-week sport." Week-to-week sport. Meaning, if I read between the lines, meaning if the Broncos lose on Sunday to another 2-5 team in Jacksonville Jaguars, does that mean that Hackett's leash is getting tighter? Possibly. What if they beat Jacksonville handily? Let's say they beat them, 24-10. Does that mean Hackett sticks around? Possibly. More than likely, yes. Absolutely. I just don't know. I'm reading between the lines, and it says a week-to-week sport. That is extremely, extremely telling. All right. I continue, and I'm still quoting him. "We're always evaluating, and our goal is to win many games in the second half as we can." Okay, so the second half, obviously, he's referring to the bye week after this Sunday's game against Jacksonville. That's considered the second half or the second part of the season. Okay, after that was end quote. I'm sorry. Penner noted the defense is playing well, but also a hint he's aware it's a Hackett, Justin Alton problem that needs to be fixed and corrected. Wow, that's exactly what I've been saying. It's a Hackett problem. And I know he's a first-year head coach, but so is the head coach of the Giants. He's a first-year head coach. They've only lost 1. Same with the Minnesota Vikings. They've only lost 1. They're first-year head coaches. So what are they doing different that Hackett isn't? Well, in my opinion, they are delegating the play calling, and they're delegating the game plan. Those guys aren't doing it all themselves, but Hackett sure is. That's absolutely correct. Hackett is calling the plays and implementing the game plan. Sure, with a little assistance, but he's the final say. I mean, we've seen that, and it's evident on the field. We've seen it. We've absolutely seen it. It's just the way it is. Somebody has got to be responsible, and that falls on Hackett. And it's being noted right here by Greg Penner. And let me go back to what it says. Penner noted the defense is playing well, but also a hint he's aware it's a Hackett, Justin Alton problem that needs to be fixed and corrected. He's absolutely 100% right. Absolutely. And he's a guy that can pull the trigger. He's the one that's above George Paton. He's definitely the one above Nathaniel Hackett, and no ties to either one. I continue. Penner doesn't pick players, but he will be picking decision makers. Whoa. If he's going to be picking decision makers, does that mean this year? Does that mean mid-season? Does that mean at the end of the season? Is it going to be a house cleaning of its entire coaching staff? General manager? I don't know. Sure was interesting with that comment, though. He doesn't pick players, but he will be picking decision makers. Okay. Well, I continue. Considering he didn't hire Hackett, this is what I mentioned, considering he didn't hire Hackett or general manager George Paton, for that matter, he is always evaluating. There's that word again. He's always evaluating. So he's evaluating the head coach. He's evaluating George Paton. That, my friend, speaks volumes. This new ownership group wants to win. They want to win now. They're not happy at 2-5, and neither is Broncos country. You can see that when they leave before halftime. Before overtime even starts. Against the Colts, they were leaving. They were leaving last week against the Jets with 2 minutes to go, and Denver has the ball to tie it. Why? Because in their hearts and minds, Denver wasn't going to move down the field and tie it. And they didn't. That's why they're leaving. And Greg Penner doesn't like it. And neither does the new ownership group. They don't like it one bit. Broncos country doesn't like it. And it all rests on Nathaniel Hackett, Justin Alton, and George Paton. I continue. If things don't go well Sunday, he could be evaluating who keeps their jobs. That would almost certainly start with Nathaniel Hackett. There you go, guys. I didn't say it. I did say it's a Hackett problem a while back. But I'm not saying those comments. Those are coming from George Penner, not me. I'm just repeating them. I'm just repeating what he said to Mike Kliss of 9 News in Denver while they're in London. Why would he speak to them when normally the ownership group doesn't speak? Because they're frustrated. They don't like it. They want to win. They want fans in the stands. They want money in their pockets. That's why. You don't pay $425 billion. Just say, whatever. It's all good. We'll let it ride out. So what if we go, 2-15? No big deal. We get good draft picks. Well, guess what? We don't have a first and second. So what are they going to get? Yeah, they're not happy. I'm not happy. Broncos country's not happy. All right. Before I get to the last segment, let me go to, let me see this one. All right. Let me go to Glenn. Glenn, good point. He says, who would I think would replace Hackett with, or who would I replace Hackett with if he gets dumped during the season? First off, I'm not sure he's going to get dumped during the season, but if he does, well, I would like to see, I don't know, everybody else would be a first-time head coach, but Clint Kubiak at least could and has learned under his dad. So I would say that would be a better choice. I mean, if the ship is already sinking and there's a big hole in the bottom of the ship, and you got people jumping off like a fire sale, and it's going down, and the captain decides he's jumping off. Well, in this case, he'd be fired. And then you bring up the next guy, your first mate or whatever. And that, in my opinion, I don't want it to be Alton, because apparently he's not calling the plays. I know that Clint Kubiak's not calling plays either. I understand that. My point being is that he learned under his father. He should have. Absolutely should have learned under his father. And if that's the case, I say he's best suited if the ship's going down, why not give him a shot? See what he can do. Maybe he's a chip off the old Kubiak block. I don't know. But it'd sure be nice to find out. And if that's the case, that's who I'd like to see. I really don't want it to happen during the year, but I also don't want to go 2-15. You know, I mean, at the beginning of the season, I thought we were going to go 12-5. Now I think we may go 5-12 if we get 5 wins. I don't know at this point. I really don't know at this point if we can even get 5 wins unless things change. Plain and simple. All right. Okay, let's that guy, Big Dola. Hey, thanks for coming in there, that guy. Appreciate it. Let's see. Okay, I agree with you 100%, Glenn. They're definitely not used to lack of success. That's for sure. I mean, all you have to do is go to Walmart. My wife goes there quite often, and I personally, I don't know, it's not my cup of tea, but if there's anything you want to find, it's just basically right there. And you're right. Walton family did not build an empire by not, quote, success and winning. Absolutely. And they want to take that and give that same success and have that same success on the Broncos in the Broncos organization. So you can understand if they're a little bit ticked off, so to speak, and they want to make things happen. And they want to make things happen now. I just don't know if they're going to pull the trigger on Hackett before the end of the season. I don't know. It would look absolutely egg in the face of George Paton, but he may not have a say in this. I don't know. He may not have a say. Okay. D-Rock, always nice to have you in the house. Thanks for coming in. Just checking the temperature of the room. Did Chiefs play a King's ransom? How upset would you be if Denver trade Chubb to Kansas City? I don't want anybody from Denver going to Kansas City or the Raiders or the Chargers because they're our rival. I do not want Bradley Chubb going to any of our division foes. Absolutely not. But I have no control of that, obviously. And that's obviously other teams are calling. They didn't say what teams are calling. They didn't mention, but it'll be interesting as the season goes on, especially if they lose Sunday. There's talk that their fire sale could be happening on Monday, and that is something I do not want to see. Absolutely do not want to see that. I understand that there's reasons behind it. His contract is up at the end of the year, and they want to get whatever they can now because they don't have any draft picks going into 2023. So I understand it. I don't like it. I don't like any Bronco players leaving, but it's a business, and that's something that me being a fan is hard to swallow. I understand. All right. Okay. Let's get into, hang on, give a quick shout out to my nephew. Thanks, Robert, for checking in. Appreciate it, man. You always got my back. Appreciate it. Burn it all down? No, we're not going to burn it all down. We can't go that route, man. Can't go that route. That would be catastrophic. But yeah, I do get your point. I do understand your point. All right. Last topic, and that is the Broncos, Jacksonville in London at dark 30 my time, 6:30 in the morning. On Sunday, 9:30 Eastern time. Both Jacksonville and Denver are 2-5. Vegas odds has Jacksonville favored by 4 points. They're both 2-5. That's right. They both are 2-5. But Jacksonville favored over Denver? That's how bad Vegas views the Denver Broncos scoring opportunities and their inept offense. I mean, you've got what's that guy's name for he plays Syracuse. What's the name? Quarterback for Jacksonville. You guys you'll let me know. I can tell. Any case, Trevor Lawrence. So Trevor Lawrence is a 2-year quarterback. This is second year. And he's not doing all that well, obviously. But neither is Russell Wilson. And neither is, Brett Rippon when he was in there. But I digress. I won't go down that road again. This game has to be a win. Justin Simmons said in his presser, we cannot leave London Stadium with a loss. We have to leave with a win. That's how desperate these guys are feeling. And Justin Simmons is part of that shutdown defense that is frustrated that the offense doesn't take advantage of what the defense is giving them. Turnovers, short fields, keeping the other team out of the end zone, off the board for the most part. And Denver continues to tread in quicksand. And it gets worse. I don't blame Justin Simmons for saying that. Of course we have to come out with a win. That is absolute a must. Or it could get real ugly before it gets better. And I'm talking about just anything from the top down. And that is hard to swallow, being a Broncos fan since 1976, to see this team in this big of a landslide and this big of a catastrophe. Absolutely catastrophe. It's got to change. And if Justin Simmons and his defense can shut down Jacksonville and get takeaways that they desperately need, give Wilson and the Broncos a short field and then capitalize. Do something different, like get in the end zone. I mean, how's that for a novel idea? Huh? I mean, you're not going to win it with field goals. That's obvious. We've proven that. That didn't work. As good as the defense is, it doesn't work because 2 field goals still doesn't equal 1 touchdown extra point. So you got to have touchdowns, and it's got to start early in the game. It's got to start in a first or second series. It has to start then. This team has got to be totally focused, and they have got to make it happen. All right, final score. I say Denver breaks their 4-game skid. I know I've been picking the Broncos almost every week, but I have to. I have to because at some point in time, this has to stop. Denver breaks their 4-game losing streak on neutral site in London, hours away in a pond away from the United States. Final score, Denver 23, Jacksonville 16. There you go, guys. What do you think? 23-16, Denver. And Wilson gets into the end zone with passing or handing off twice. Denver scores 2 touchdowns, and then the rest, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yeah. Then they get 3 field goals. That's basically what they get every single game is 3 field goals. But they're going to get 2 touchdowns, in my opinion. 23-16 Broncos this coming Sunday. That's it, guys. That's all I have. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. If you haven't, please do so. It costs you nothing, but it benefits the network greatly. We absolutely really appreciate your subscription. Also, hit the thumbs up, the like button. Tell your friends, if you like what you see, and continue to support this network. All right, before I get out of here, let me remind you of the shows. We have the neighborhood coming up on Sunday. Woo, bright and early. That game is going to be, or I should say the neighborhood is going to be bringing the game. Madungus Creevy. Glenn Hauser's filling in for me. I can't make it again this week. Thanks, Glenn, for filling in. I appreciate it. That goes live at game time. Remember, 6:30 Pacific, 7:30 Mountain, 8:30 Central, 9:30 Eastern. They will be going live. Okay? Then on Monday, we have the Cluster Puck with a P. Cluster Puck, that goes live with Nick and Brett every Monday, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then on Tuesday, we have the 5280 podcast. That's hosted by Madungus Creevy, his really good friend Glenn Hauser, Boggins, and Cam. That goes live every Tuesday, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And then on Wednesday, we have the Wild Wild West. That features a fan from every AFC West team, Broncos, Raiders, Chargers, and Chiefs. That goes live every Wednesday, 4:30, 5:30, 6:30, and 7:30. And then on Friday, Broncos Breakdown, hosted by me, Bronco Bill, goes live every Friday, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Until then, guys, till next Friday, enjoy the Broncos game. Cheer your heads off. Let's get this game a win. And let's absolutely turn the page and move forward and correct these situations. All right, guys, have a great weekend. I will talk to you next Friday. Until then, take care. Bye-bye.